Push the button? Gotta push the button.
It did.
Okay, well, I don't see that you push the button.
From MicroTV, this is Q&A with A&V. I'm Vincent Racaniello, and joining me tonight here in Chevy Chase, Maryland, Amy Rosenfeld. Hello, Amy.
Hello, Vincent. How are you today?
Are we in Chevy Chase?
We are.
Good
Yeah.
weather, very nice outside.
It's beautiful out.
People
Went
may
to
be
the rooftop pool and everything.
wondering why we are in Chevy Chase. But first, let's welcome everyone to your weekly corner of the internet for viruses. We did skip 2 weeks because I was on the road, and I'm still on the road for this third week, but I thought we shouldn't skip 3. So here we are, and tonight moderating for us we have Vanity, we have Barb Mack, and we have Andrew. Thank you all for joining us and keeping this civil. We have 100 of you here tonight, and I've been traveling quite a bit. Let me start with this. This is really cool. So can I say where we were today?
My office.
Just say your office, that's all?
Yeah, my office.
Right, we were in Amy's office, and someone came to visit who was a fan of the program, and she gave us this,
Which is super cool.
which is,
You're blocking everybody from seeing me.
hang on,
Now I got fingerprints all over my
all
face.
right, just a minute, let me wipe it off.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, you're right, I did get fingerprints. So this is a block of glass with a picture of me and Amy. Can you see that, do you think?
I think so.
Have to get it closer.
Oh, you have to get it closer.
Yeah.
There's me.
Look at that, it's pretty
There's
cool.
me with all the fingerprints. But yes, that's me.
Yeah, anyway, it's
Anyway.
very cool. It's really heavy. So
It's
it's
beautiful.
It's backwards.
Yeah.
That's why I can't see it. It was backwards. Here, this is much better. Actually, it's not much better, but there it is. And she gave us
Patricia is lovely.
She gave us. Her name is Patricia. Anyway, thank you, Patricia, if you're watching. That's very cool.
It was very
And
cool. We had a lovely
so this
morning
week
with her.
I'm down here in the DC area because on
Yesterday you gave a talk at the Cosmo Club.
yesterday I gave a talk at the Cosmos Club, which is a science club here in DC, and dinner, and I talk afterwards. I talked about viruses, politics, and society. And then today we had a high school class visit, right?
The Bernanke School.
And then tomorrow I'm doing a podcast with Kostya Chumakov. Okay, now
Okay.
last week I was also here, right? Was I here
Yes.
last week?
Yes, last week
Oh,
was
so
Kostya
Wednesday
Day.
we had a symposium for Kostya Chumakov, who
Retired.
retired from the FDA, and you have his former
Position,
job,
yeah.
right? I want to show you. So we hired Chris Kandayan to record the event, and there were about 15 talks, would you say?
17.
And these are all people in the polio enterovirus field, probably never going to get together again.
Nope. All retired.
So it's all recorded. I want to show you some pictures
We're
of the
going to
event.
release it as shorts.
I didn't say oyster school. I said did I say oyster school? No. I don't know where that. Anyway, look at some pictures of the event. This is Kostya Chumakov.
And that's you.
This is me. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's see.
Where's the one with...
Then we have.
Oh, that's George.
So this is
That's my
George. This is George
co-organizer.
Beloff from the University of Maryland. This is Bert Flanagan from the University of Florida,
And Ellie.
and Ellie Ehrenfeld.
And George was my co-organizer.
Here's your co-organizer. Boy, Bert looks funny. So here we have me,
That's you.
Amy.
That's Mike, my collaborator for structural biology, and Lester Schulman
This
from
is
Israel.
Lester Schulman from Tel Aviv. Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. Then we have
That's Jim Hogle.
Jim Hogo with the big mutton chops, structural biologist,
Yeah.
and also Lester, right?
Yeah.
And then we have, of
That's
course,
David Asher.
David Asher. And then we have me.
You and Sasha.
So Sasha Gorbalenya is a very cool coronavirologist. He's in Leiden, right?
Yes, he's retired. He no longer considers himself a coronavirologist since he recently has only been doing coronas. He's been booted out, apparently. That's you, me, and Koisia?
Right. I like the black and white, don't you, folks?
Yeah,
Chris Kondayan look.
That's you and Ann?
So this is Ann Palmenberg, a virologist at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And she's retiring soon, at the end of the year, right?
No, she becomes an emeritus at the end of July.
In July. And one more.
That's Koisia giving his last remarks.
And he said something interesting.
He said a lot of interesting things, but you like the one funny thing.
He said, in the Soviet Union, you know, they pretended to pay us and we pretended to work.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny. Anyway, those are pictures from the symposium. And what else did I do last week besides this?
You went to the Quebec aquavirus meeting?
Oh, and then the day after this symposium, I flew to Quebec and attended the aquatic virus meeting, and that was the twive for last week. And of course, the week before, I was in Switzerland at Montreux for the nidovirus meeting, where I did a twive as well. And hopefully, you've all heard those because they're very cool. And next week, I am going to U.S. AMRID, Fort Detrick.
Yep.
Which is an army base, right? Here in Fort Detrick, which is where, roughly?
I think it's Frederick's.
Frederick. And I'm going to visit with Rich Condit, the BSL-4 lab, and we're going to do a twive with some of the people there. So 4 weeks of being away now and then. It's cool. Anyway, that's what I've been up to. Do I have anything else to tell? What have you been up to? Are you just working hard?
Working hard.
Got to see your office today. I'd never seen
Yeah.
it. It was pretty cool. In your lab, right?
Yeah. Working hard. Packing up. Working hard. Yep. Same old stuff.
Streaming from Chevy Chase. That's right. This is Amy's place, which is, she's got equipment for streaming, right? Like this microphone.
Yes, I do.
And we have 2 lights in front of us.
Yeah, courtesy of Richard.
We do have a shadow on the back, Amy. Not good.
We can fix later.
Well,
At intermission.
No, there's no intermission.
Well, that's not my fault. Every performance has an intermission.
This, what we need is a 3rd light to get rid of that shadow, but... Oh, well. I'm sorry, folks, for the shadow. Oh, well. Anyway, let's see. What do we have here? I know Vanity apparently did really good on an exam and got an A.
Really good or really well?
Really well, and got an A. Congratulations for neuroscience. All right. Barb Mack says, wouldn't it be hard to tell whether the 1918 flu virus was more virulent due to World War I going on simultaneously, and that must have affected the health of millions, perhaps making them more susceptible? What do you think, Dr. Rosenfeld?
Well, it did overlap, but I think it was probably more than World War One. Than World War One was the amount of wetness and rain, because people were always getting foot rot.
Well, I think that this is just an example of how it's very hard to understand, to separate the viral properties from the human properties whenever you're talking about virulence. Because it's 1918, it's a long time ago. People's health were different. Yes, there was a war going on, but a lot of other things as well. So yes, you could put the virus in mice and it could kill them, but it doesn't tell you much about.
Well, virulence is always 90% determined by the host. Even Casanova says that.
90%?
He says 100%. I say 90.
Anyway. Oh, Peak is here. Thank you for coming, Peak, and moderating. Good to have you. Barb Mack said purple cashmere sweater. Is that what you have?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a purple cashmere sweater?
Yeah, it's
Are you
cashmere
chaotic tonight?
I'm
Or
always
in
chaotic.
chaos? No?
The hairs are always in chaos. It's not good. Push, 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 push.
Okay, DR says of all the effective human vaccines, measles, polio, etc., which are the ones that have achieved herd immunity, and where is the best place to reference such status besides here, of course?
Well, herd immunity is a moving target.
What does that mean?
It changes. It's not static. It's very ebb and wet.
Is there such thing as herd immunity?
Yes.
What's the mechanism?
It's when you have enough people to reduce the amount of transmission, the amount of circulation of the pathogen.
Enough people are immune.
I mean, yeah, but therefore it's always moving. Because people move in and out, and your immune status doesn't always stay the same.
Yeah.
So it's always a moving target.
Yeah, and we didn't really have it for SARS-CoV-2 because the virus kept changing antigenically, right?
I don't know. You probably do have it because you don't really think that the vaccines from the original Wuhan strain are losing efficacy.
No, I don't.
So what is herd immunity against? What is the immune response? What is immunity against? Immunity against what? The development of severe disease?
I think that's it. You can't really talk about transmission because nobody's looked at it directly, right?
Well, I'm not talking about transmission. I'm just saying herd immunity for severe disease. That's what you have, herd immunity to prevent. So like when Sabin gave all the campaigns for polio, there was herd immunity against the development of severe disease right after the community all got vaccinated for the first 6 months. And then periodically as your response wanes or contracts, then you are more open to the reintroduction of the virus into the population. So it's a moving target. It's never static. It's constantly being moved. I don't know why people think it's not constantly in flux. I don't know.
It is in flux.
I don't know why people would ever think that it's a static property of a
Anyway,
community.
DR wants to know where's the best place to reference them.
Well, there's a seminal paper about it by 2 bacteriologists in the 60s. I sent it to you months ago.
Right, and more recently there was...
well, there have been commentaries, but they're not by people who know what herd immunity is.
Tom Moran, David Moran, right? The
but
deputy of
I
Fauci.
don't know that he's correct. I don't think he knows what he's talking about.
Well, I think he does know certain things that he's talking about, but
Well, I don't think
herd
that
immunity
this
is a tough one to prove that. So
But
the
it was
issue is,
originally
Amy, that
discussed
you have
pertussis.
90% of the population vaccinated or immune, and then a certain fraction of the rest are protected because circulation is depressed theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically.
That must be that, but no one's ever proven that because it's very
You can't
hard to do.
prove it.
Very, very hard to do.
It's never been proven for anything. It's observational.
It's an observational epidemiological conclusion. That's right. But even Albert Sabin used to say that if in communities immunized with OPV, the people who didn't get immunized were still protected.
Right, but for a degree of time. He didn't say they were protected forever. He said that they were. He left it ambiguous by just saying protected, and nobody said to him, "Well, Albert, how long is that protection?"
Yeah, nobody asked him that.
Right.
But
it's a moving target.
with polio, with OPV, there's another component, and that is it's shed by recipients, and then it spreads to unvaccinated people, right?
Right.
So.
But even still, you guys all thought that it blocked transmission. When you went back to communities that were vaccinated, like 5 to 7 years later, there was polio circulating in those communities.
Exactly.
So it's a moving target.
Yeah. Kang wants to know, are there any lessons to be learned from comparing Norway and Sweden's responses?
I don't know what Norway's response was. Sweden was definitely not about the lockdown and stuff. So, but they ended up having just as many deaths as we did or something or other. I don't think they had an astronomical number of deaths.
Does anyone know what Norway's pandemic response?
I don't know.
They had 5,500 deaths in Norway.
Yeah, but what is that population-wise?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, of
Or
course.
number of infection-wise?
Norway pandemic response. How did Norway respond? Lockdown, 2 weeks. They went into lockdown, closed most of public life. So very different from Sweden, right?
Yeah, Sweden didn't have any lockdowns.
I think there's value in comparing what different countries did, but it's important to get the right data, and you can't use hearsay.
Well, I don't know that it's of value to compare what other countries say because you don't have the same mentality in other countries. There are more conformists and stuff in Norway and Sweden than we are here. We have a bunch of people who say, you can't tell me what to do in Sweden, and other countries don't have that. What do you think about that?
I agree. I think that's good. Also lessons to be learned for how we handled it, right?
Yeah. I think that's the only thing you can say is the lessons to learn is the way your country handled it, right?
Yeah.
Our country did not handle it well. It's kind of a disaster.
So Brian said last week, Wednesday evening, 8 p.m., look for office hours, didn't find it. Where should we have looked for the authoritative story?
The authoritative story?
Where should we? Actually, there is a
Schedule.
Let's go to the schedule, right? I have to make it updated.
I thought you had a woman who did that.
Yeah. So here it is. Let's share the screen. Where is the screen share? Here we go. We'll kick Brian. Now, you go to microTV/calendar, and let's see, what was that? May, right? Today's the 31st, so see, office hours is on the schedule. I should have taken it off there. So in Montreux, it wasn't on the schedule, as you can see here, but this 24th. So this is a definitive place, microTV/calendar. And I'll make sure to keep it up to date so that you can find out.
I thought you had a woman to do that.
Yeah, but I have to tell her. I have to tell her what to do. So I didn't do that. It was my thing. If people can't fix it if they don't know from me that I'm not going to screen, right?
Got it.
Okay. So speaking of Australia.
Oh, you're going in September or October?
Yeah, I've been invited to Australia
in September.
And they want me to stay a couple of weeks and do some tours and stuff. So
no live streaming.
What's that? Why not?
No live streaming. Well, it's like two time differences, right?
We'll figure something out. Actually, if you get up at 7 a.m., if you do it at 7 p.m., I can live stream at 7 a.m. and we'd be synced. If you want to do that, but I don't know if we're going to.
Yeah, you could do that.
Anyway, should I go to Australia?
What do you mean, should you go? Why are you asking them? You already committed. Of course you're going.
Coralie's in Australia. Anyway, I'm going to Sydney. And I'd like to go to Melbourne, but they have some tour for me in mind. So,
are you going to Queensland?
I don't know. The question is, how long should I go for?
3 weeks, like you agreed.
I didn't agree to anything yet. The guy emailed today and said, I need a commitment from you. So I have to answer him tomorrow.
You're going to make a decision so quickly? I've never heard of this.
Well, he needs a decision right away. So we will.
Okay. Never heard of this before.
All right, here's an interesting question from Bus Driving 1.
Never heard. Welcome.
Does someone who's positive for a virus ever truly go back to a state of being fully negative?
Yes.
No. You mean for the virus?
Yeah, okay. For the virus, they go back negative. They might have antibodies against the virus, but they don't have any virus.
Wait. It depends on the virus.
Well, some viruses, like the common cold, they go back negative. Herpes virus, they don't.
Exactly right. That's what I'm saying. Just ease off before you jump into an answer, Dr. Rosenfeld. Herpes viruses, HIV/AIDS, they're with you forever. You can never go back.
But rhinovirus and Coxsackie virus and flu virus are not.
Anyway, I've been to Australia for 5 days once. Barb Mack says there's no point in going for much less than 2 weeks because of jet lag. Hey, I went for 5 days. I went for 5 days to Singapore. I'm the kind of guy.
I thought we were answering this question. You're the kind of guy what?
Sorry. Yes, so for some viruses you go back to being virus negative. SARS-CoV-2, rhinoviruses, poliovirus, right? Measles, mumps, rubella, Coxsackie.
Influenza.
But for some viruses, you have the virus forever, which would be herpes. HIV, herpes viruses,
CMV,
hepatitis B virus in some people, hepatitis C in some people. Yeah. Okay, so there you go. It depends on the virus. Good question, though. I like it. So Vanity got a 96 on neurology and an A in the very good.
Great.
Now you're a neurologist. Well, if they're in Maryland, they picked the perfect time. May has been an amazing month.
Yeah,
for
it's been
weather. Is that
beautiful.
true? Is the weather good?
Not too hot.
Let's see what it is right now.
It's
currently
21C.
21C and sunny.
Yeah, it's good. We should be at the pool.
No, we don't do pools. We work.
We could do pools. You just finished telling me 20 minutes ago I needed to learn how to relax.
Vincent,
is why I'm
John
always
Barry says that
confused.
the 1918 virus mutated to be more virulent. No,
No.
there's zero evidence that it mutated. You just go listen to Jeff Taubenberger. I asked him. He said, no, we don't have any isolates to be able to prove that. And he said it's all anecdotal. And John Barry is just feeding the anecdotes. And so don't believe John Barry. He's not a virologist, okay? Listen to the virologist. There's no evidence for any change in viral virulence. There were waves, of course, because just like with SARS-CoV-2, there have been waves as new people are infected, but no evidence that there's differences in virulence. So, sorry. I know he said that many years ago in his book, but no. All right, so here are some numbers. On Worldometer, Sweden had over 24,000 deaths with a population of over 10 million. Norway and Finland have a combined population of 10 million but 15,000 deaths, despite similar region and demographics. So, fewer deaths in Norway and Finland.
Yeah, but no, actually.
I don't think you can compare them, though. Can you?
No.
No. Yeah.
What?
They're just different. I mean, I know there's similar regions and demographics, but many things are different about them. So I don't think you can compare them.
No, you can't.
Yes, we are both here in the same room, as you can see, right? See, here's Amy right here. I can even, right? There
Yeah,
she is.
you is. Yeah, you pick you.
I missed everyone, all of you. I appreciate that you actually came back tonight, and
You got 234 viewers. It's good.
I don't like to miss these live streams, but usually I don't miss podcasts. I can usually record, but
Of course you did. It was a big day.
yeah, it was too long. We got back late, right?
Yeah, we didn't finish and pack up and back everything up until 9. Look, it's Jen.
Hey, Animal Party.
Yeah, it's Jen.
Got to show all these. What are those called?
Emojis.
Emojis.
It's Jen. Yeah.
Hello, Animal Party. How's it going?
She's she's in school. She's in grad school. She must be switching rotations now.
Hello, Noir. How are you? Good to see you. New Mexico.
That's cool.
Very cool. What do you think of Sabine Hassenfelder's recent YouTube video? The video is like, this is why it scares me so much. Did I show it to you? It's just a clickable video headline. Okay? And in fact, we're going to do a little review of avian H5N1 on Friday on twive, but look, just be vigilant. We're going to watch what's going on, track infections in mammals. I can't predict what's going to happen, but this really scares me. That's not really the right reaction. I think you just say what's going on. I mean, it's in a lot of birds, it's in a lot of mammals, but
It doesn't seem to go from mammal to people.
no,
so what's the problem?
and the mammal transmission is iffy. We're not sure. I asked, what's her name?
Scott Hensley.
No, the lady in the Netherlands, Marion Koopmans. Do you think there's, mammal to mammal transmission is very difficult to show that. Very difficult to show it. And no more people have been infected than usual.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm not worried about it at the moment. So that's what I think. I think she's looking for some
So she's
clicks.
looking for some viewers.
Okay.
Can't have everything.
Alice wants to know, how are you keeping that lab of yours? How are you keeping it? Buzzing?
It is buzzing.
All right, good.
It's working. It's doing something.
Yeah. Virologists in amber. This isn't quite amber, right?
No, it's glass.
It's glass, but
Well, you need more of a contrast.
I really like it. I think it's cool.
It is cool,
Let's put
but
it
you
by
got
the-
fingerprints all over
Hey, hang on. There it is.
Yeah.
Actually, it would be good to contrast on your shirt.
Yeah, that's what I was
Or
gonna
there's
say.
the shadow in the back of our thing, right?
Yeah,
That's a picture from one of the live streams she grabbed. I think it's cool.
it is very cool. It's lovely.
Oyster School. I don't understand. All right. EHS talent. A 58-year-old female friend had her thymus removed in 2017.
Big deal.
Thymus makes T cells.
Not when you're 57. It starts to involute.
Yeah, she wants to know if her 4 mRNA shots protect her against severe
Yeah, of
disease.
course.
Yeah, you have memory T cells that have already been produced, removed in 2017.
It doesn't matter. It wasn't doing anything. But
No,
when
the
she was
the thymus
57.
does it during development, right?
Right,
And then the bone marrow produces T cells.
right. The thymus involutes
Yeah.
and decays and stops being functional.
So yeah, she's good. She has, well, in theory, right? One doesn't know for sure.
Well, she can get titered.
Hmm.
Right? You can do a titration.
Of what? What would you like her to be
Well, she
titrated?
could look at T cells and see if there's a T cell response, right, by the T cell assay, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's timely, too.
Patricia would have liked to have gone to the Cosmos Club. Yeah, it was fun. We had a cocktail hour, then we had dinner, and then I talked for half hour, and then we had questions. Good questions.
Yeah, it was very
Right?
nice. Yeah, it was very nice. And you saw a very old friend who you haven't seen in like 100 years.
Not 100 years, but in a while, yeah. I was just impressed that 50 people came,
I think it was great.
right? The Cosmos Club is a social club, basically, for science, but also for other things. I
Yeah.
think the coolest thing about it are the pictures of people on the wall who were members,
Yeah, who won the Medal of Freedom.
Medal of Freedom,
Presidential-
Pulitzer Prize, Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Mhm.
All right, Liam says, if antibiotic-resistant bacteria do not encounter antibiotics for a period of time, does drift, and no positive selection eventually delete or mutate the genes towards inactivation?
No.
They don't. They don't. They remain there, and because I guess there's no fitness cost to them
Right.
remaining there, right?
Right. Oh, look, Animal Party is leaving. She has to go study papules and lesions.
Good. Study those lesions. So the problem is, Liam, that then when they do encounter antibiotics, then they're resistant, right? So let's see, what's a good example? I remember a study years ago where in a country, not the U.S., a European country, where they'd been using antibiotics in chickens to make them grow faster and bigger. And they looked at a hospital in the neighborhood as the supermarket, and they found the same antibiotic-resistant bacteria in the patients as in the chickens.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't answer his question, but I think it shows you that those
Yeah, they don't kick those genes out.
genes are there. And then if you have eaten the chicken and you get colonized by those antibiotic-resistant bacteria, then when you go for surgery, you can have problems.
But
with
why
it,
didn't
right?
you cook the chicken?
So you do cook it, and that's fine, but you open the package and you get it on your hands, and then you
okay.
contaminate yourself, right? The cutting board, the knife.
Got it. I do not do that, but yes, I can
Very
see how
good.
that people.
Do you eat chicken? No. Okay. Any news about oral Remdesivir? Nothing. But Paxlovid got licensure from the FDA last week. And so, no, Daniel said actually 2 weeks ago he has heard nothing about oral Remdesivir.
I don't know anything about
Here's what I heard.
it. Okay, I'm
So-
listening. All ears.
It was originally being developed by
Gilead?
Gilead, and then they were doing it with with another company, and they terminated that agreement and now are developing their own version. So
gonna
I
take a
suspect it's
while.
going to be delayed. Yeah. Principal manager stayed at the Cosmos Club. Yeah, it's an old, a big old house. Not my style, but it's okay. Yes, so I love the Kondayan black and white style. It makes it raw, right? There's something about it. Here, let's put one up. Let's see. Right? There's just a rawness to it that you don't get in a color version. He looks happy, right?
He was thrilled. Yeah,
He was thrilled to have
he
a
was super excited.
party. I could look at these, over and over.
Yeah, I
Especially
think
this
that
one.
one's so funny at Burt Flanagan, but George is pretty funny too. And Ellie's kind of rolling her eyes in the back of her head.
This is great. I love it. You look a little puzzled, but you're just serious. And I'm like,
No, we're
these
talking
guys are
about
too serious.
anti-vaxxers.
Enough of that. Sorry. I love them. Okay, Michael, from Mexico City. A simple question. In practice, any COVID vaccine with the original strain applied now, May 2023, should protect from severe disease and death. Is this statement true?
Yes.
I believe it is true. Yes, there's no evidence that there is substantial loss of protection against severe disease and death with the ancestral vaccine. As you may know, the WHO has recommended a monovalent vaccine moving forward with the latest.
Bivalent.
They don't want any ancestral strain in it.
I
They
thought
just
it was
want
bivalent with 2 Omicron strains or something.
no, just one, the XB1.15, I think. What is that noise?
Shower upstairs.
Oh my gosh. So, the idea is that when you immunize with the ancestral, the antibodies are not taking care of the latest Omicrons, but you're still protected against severe disease, probably because of other immune mechanisms, right? But
Sure.
people say it makes them nervous that there's no neutralizing antibodies induced by the vaccine any longer, so they want to switch to the latest, Omicron. I just hope it doesn't bite them in the end. It doesn't work.
It's a risk. As Jerry used to say, it's not flu. Shouldn't be chasing variants.
Richard says, great having trouble keeping polio straight.
Yep, everybody has trouble keeping polio straight.
So, Amy, is it going to be possible to eradicate poliovirus?
No.
Is it going to be possible to eradicate poliomyelitis?
Yes.
So it means we have to immunize forever, basically.
Yes.
Okay. That's all you need to know, Richard. If you have been vaccinated, you're good. The virus does not change to make the vaccine not work, correct?
Well, we'll get back to you on that
You're
one.
working on it?
We'll get back to you on that one.
Okay.
Because we've changed the vaccine, right? We no longer use trivalent.
What is your opinion on the use of bacteriophages as an alternative to antibiotics?
It's very interesting.
All right, now interesting is not a good answer, Dr. Rosenfeld. Okay.
I think it has potential, but it's got a long way to go.
There have been some very prominent cases where phages have been used to make people live, cure their infections, right?
Yeah, a few.
A few, but
Like 4.
it's one of the problems is when you inject phages into people, you make antibodies against them, and that lowers their efficacy, right?
Yes.
But I think it's promising. One of the issues is, let's say you have a bacterial infection, you now have to select phages that are able
For
to,
that bacteria.
for that bacteria. So it has to be a custom drug. And I don't know the regulatory aspects of that, how that would work, right?
I don't know.
We don't know. So that's the big challenge, in my opinion. And having antibodies made against the phages is also a challenge. I think it will be used for topical infections earlier than for systemic infections where you have to interject.
Topical bacterial infection is common.
Yeah, like a staph infection of a wound or something like that.
Maybe. I thought that those were all systemic.
There is a phage spray that is FDA approved for spraying food preparation surfaces in restaurants and so forth. And it's for listeria.
Well, listeria is a problem.
And so that's a problem, yeah.
You always get listeria on cantaloupe and lettuce or something, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's E. coli.
So here's from Leem. He says, the thymus gland educates T cells to not attack self. That's what happens during fetal development, right? But does not create them. And by that age, the role of the thymus is greatly diminished.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I said.
That's what he said. They come from the bone marrow. Yeah, it's all good. I like the black and white pictures. They add an element of drama in a good way.
Yeah.
Have you ever used or thought about any applications for generative AI in virology? What does it mean, generative? What does generative mean?
I don't know.
Let me look it up.
Repetitive.
Can I look it up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Generative AI is a type of AI that can create a wide variety of data such as images, videos, audio, text, and 3D models. I bet you could use it to make 3D structures.
I'm not betting on that.
What if you had the structure of poliovirus? Do you have a structure here somewhere? No, you don't have any models here.
My models are in my office.
And then you said, make a version where this amino acid is changed to this amino acid. What do you think about that?
Well, it's 60 copies, right? And it might not calculate in the change might change a bond angle by 0.1 degrees, right, in a single chain. Yeah. But when you do it 60 times, it's not clear that it's going to be additive or synergistic.
No. And it will need to have data to make it
right, and we don't have any of those things.
Predictions.
Yeah.
So I think it's got promise for sure. My video guy, David Renata, do you know him? He used to watch this stream. Let me see.
What do you mean he used to? Why doesn't he still?
Well, because COVID is not a problem anymore, right, for most places, so people aren't worried about it. Here, he made this. This is really funny.
Yeah, but there's still something off about the mouse.
Here, so I want to show you this picture that David made with the generative AI. So let's close this and screen share. So he said, make a mouse next to a petri dish. And that's what it came up with. Yeah, but the
eyes are off for the mouse. The eyes are off for the mouse or the feet.
Looks like a rat, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not really right. I don't think that the ears are right. I don't think that the nose is the right shape. It just doesn't look right.
Okay.
And why is the petri dish clear liquid with green dots on it?
I don't know. That's what AI thinks is a petri dish.
Well, AI thinks I wrote brilliant articles about vaccine development or something.
Yeah, I asked ChatGPT who is Amy Rosenfeld, virologist, and it spewed back these papers that you had supposedly written, which you'd never written, that don't even exist. It scares me that it makes stuff up.
Yes, I could have told you it made stuff up. I learned that when I had dinner with Nahal and George and Ellie.
Animal Party is behind on her twive listening. Well, I know you folks are all busy, right?
Everybody.
I understand. Busy. The only person in the world who's not behind on their twive listening, you listen to every episode? Well, I was going to say me, because I listen to all of them and listen to them many times while editing them.
You don't edit them anymore. You got David and Peter.
I still do some editing. Still do some. I love to highlight this Alina from Coxsackie, New York. Isn't that cool?
Yep.
Really cool. So Peak is graduating high school in 6 days. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Going to UCLA.
It's going to be a Bruin.
You can do a shadow puppet show. Really? Actually, it doesn't really work, does it? No? Yeah, most people wouldn't have noticed it if I hadn't pointed it out.
Mix and be quiet.
Okay. Genetics says, I love the aquatic virus episode. You have to change the tagline, though, not only the kind that make you sick. Yeah, but I made that tagline on the first episode. I was editing it, and I thought, I want to make sure people understand this is about biological viruses, not computer viruses. And so I said, how could I do that? And I thought, the kind that make you sick. It's got such a nice ring to it. Even though it's not true, I kind of like it. And the only way it's going to change is after I have left this earth. What do you think about that?
I'm not sure it's ever going to change, but yes, it's good.
Amy, Alice is so glad to see you. I missed you in the podcast.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice.
Okay.
It's very nice. It's lovely.
Pete says the shadow can be a moral support friend. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? It's a good idea. Okay, here's a Hep C question. Maybe you know the answer.
Okay.
In 2012, the confirmatory test for Hep C, called a Reba, was eliminated by the CDC. And overnight, Hep C diagnosis increased 25%. Did the change in algorithm create a false positive problem?
I don't know anything about it.
Do you know anything about Reba? Let's look it up. You know, we could probably, let's see, HCV, oops, no, that's not right.
Excuse me.
Let's go to Safari, HCV Reba. Recombinant immunoblot assay.
Detects antibodies.
So the diagnoses going up, what would that do, Amy? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. Because an ELISA is kind of plus or minus.
Yeah, here it says Reba is an obsolete test for Hep C. I don't know. That's a good question, Tom. I don't know the answer. So maybe there were false negatives, right? That would
Could be.
then tell you that
Could be.
could be. But then they did have other tests ready to go,
Yeah.
so it could have been that there were a lot of false negatives with the Reba. That's what I would guess. I love TWIV 1009.
That's your aquatic virus.
No, that was Geneva.
Oh, Geneva.
Yeah, they were great. I really liked them. Yep, it's really good. On Discord, human challenge trials came up from a Tom Scott video in the UK, and it stirred debate on ethics. I recall TWIV hosts being against the SARS-CoV-2 viral load trials, but can you explain in detail? I was against challenge trials. Were you?
Yes.
Here's my logic. A certain fraction of even young, healthy people who get COVID develop long-term symptoms. I don't know how long-term, right? Because it's only been a few years.
Some of them die.
Some of them die. And the UK people argued, well, we're picking healthy people, but how do you know that they don't have some underlying genetic issue that would make them susceptible or develop long COVID? So that's why I think it would be unethical at a point where you don't really know much about a particular virus to do a challenge trial.
I'm not sure what knowledge we gained from the challenge trial.
You know the dose to put in people's noses to get 50% of them infected.
And that's useful for what? When I do my next experiment?
To do the next challenge trial. Actually,
But so how did that affect our course of treatment?
didn't do anything to that.
Okay. And how did that affect our course in understanding how disease develops?
Didn't do anything for that.
So what I learned was
it gave
how
you
much
the incubation period, you know.
Maybe not. We pretty much could deduce that from the observational studies and stuff from the number of people that were naturally infected. So basically, I used a human as a mouse, and now I learned the TCID 50. Is that what you're telling me?
You know, they were humans, not a humanized mouse.
What's the difference? But so, is that what you're telling me? Is I learned the TCID 50 for a human? And what am I going to do with this information?
So I saw one of the people involved in this challenge trial was in Montreux. I went to his poster.
He was a patient in the trial?
No, he was a scientist. He was one of the scientists involved.
Uh-huh.
And he said they have another one in planning.
Oh, good.
I don't know what that's going to do.
So should we have a human challenge trial for polio? Learn what the TCID 50 of the viruses in people?
Didn't we do that for NOPV too?
Sort of, but not really, because everybody was already vaccinated. For NOPV2, we only use
Yeah.
IPV vaccinated people.
So they
For
do-
NOPV 1 and 3, we're using IPV and OPV vaccinated people. What about regular people? You know, there is a population of regular people.
We heard about a weird Hep C challenge trial last night, remember?
Yes, we did. Not good.
They are going to challenge...
No, it wasn't a challenge trial. It was to test the T-cell vaccine.
Right. Well, they're going to immunize them with a Hep C T-cell only vaccine and then...
Wait until they got infected because they were IV drug users.
Oh, I thought they were going to challenge them.
I thought he said that
Because
they were
then they
gonna-
said they have antivirals ready in case they get too
okay.
sick, right? I think that's...
But I thought it was appalling.
But you know, they do challenge trials for rhinoviruses.
But they're benign many times,
are.
and I don't and stuff. Yeah,
They
you don't do challenge trials for measles.
no.
You don't do challenge trials for herpes. You don't do challenge trials for flu.
Yeah, you do for flu.
For
you do.
flu, you
Yeah,
do?
you do. They use attenuated vaccines.
Well,
too.
attenuated is not the same thing as wild type.
Yeah. Carol, hello, our favorite nephrologist. My 26-year-old son plans to go rock climbing in South Africa. Does he need any updated vaccines or take any precautions?
Yeah, he needs good rock climbing clothes.
No, 26 years old, healthy, vaccinated, you're good. Good to go.
Don't forget the good rock climbing.
But you know, now that Paxlovid is licensed, you can get it and take it with you.
Yes, good.
Although at that age, you don't need to take
Why do you need
Paxlovid,
it?
right? Yeah.
No.
Okay, Liam agrees with you. Herd immunity is a moving target. Among other factors, it will be different in crowded New York versus outback Australia. Also, population moves, people die, new people are born. Totally got it. Absolutely. You were there. That's why I have you on this program, Dr. Rosenfeld. Yeah. And yes, I agree. Maria von Kerkhove was cool. So was Kanta Subaro. It was a good program. What do you think? It was good?
Yeah, I'm still amazed at the heads. I can't get over that. But every time I see Kanta or hear about it, I'm like, God, she had these heads. Yuck.
I recently assembled a mag of novel phage from a metagenome, ran it through Prodigal, and it said there were ORFs in the DTR. Can phages encode genes in the direct terminal repeats? Why not? I don't see why it wouldn't, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't see why not. It depends how big the ORF is, right? If it's
Yeah.
tiny, it's probably not being used. But
I don't know.
Nicola said, my great-grandmother survived 1918 flu, was still alive in the 90s. She always claimed that virus made her bald for 1 year after the flu. Any idea if flu can do that?
I don't know if it's a direct consequence of flu or the immune response and stress.
I haven't heard that one, have you? I mean,
Yeah, even flu can cause hair loss from high fever and severe infection.
significant hair loss can occur after an illness, a major surgery, high fever, severe infection, or even influenza.
It's all the stress. You know my hair is
Here's
falling
another
out.
one. Can flu cause hair thinning?
Yes, it's all about stress.
So the answer is yes.
Did you put up your Venmo account? Where's your Venmo account? Why do I always have to tell you to put up your Venmo account?
What is my Venmo account?
I don't know what's your Venmo account.
Well, let's make it here. I have my Venmo. I will put up the Venmo because Amy says that it should be.
Everybody should be able to make donations. or
Okay,
support your
MicroTV is at MicroTV. So let's put it up at.
Well, now you got the wrong.
What? What do I got?
You got the wrong window. You got too many
TV.
windows open.
Here we go. What size do you want it? Is that good?
Yeah, put it over.
Oh, I should say Venmo, right?
Well, yeah, you should say Venmo.
I don't like the way that looks.
It's too big.
Is
Put a
that-
colon.
Well, then they'd think that
Oh, okay, fine.
there's a colon. So there's Venmo if you want to donate to MicroTV.
Yeah, it makes all these programs. And it picked up Paul Offit's Beyond the Noise, and you're going to have additional ones. So why shouldn't people be supportive? Otherwise, you can't make additional podcasts.
By the way, I have episode 3 of Beyond the Noise ready to release. Hopefully I do it tomorrow. I hope you're enjoying those. Paul
They're great.
is having a good time with them.
He's amazed.
But this one is a little complicated. It had fever and chills, short breath, total anosmia last week of January, daily SARS-CoV-2 rapid antigen, negative antibody test, May 8th, anti-N, neg, anti-S positive. Thought for sure COVID, but no. So no tests were positive, essentially.
Yeah, there are other viruses and other bacteria out there that give you the same symptoms. What's the problem?
Anosmia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be something else, yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't viruses throw parties? Because they're afraid they'll have too many hosts.
That's cute.
Do you like that?
That's cute.
Okay.
I like that. It's cute.
Any chance the parasitism textbook I won from an episode will come? Yes.
Email Vincent at microbe.tv and remind him to put it in the mail.
I was just going to say, email me at Vincent at MicroTV and remind me to put it in the mail.
I know that's how this program works.
I have to tell everyone that I have an assistant who's traveling with me now.
Karen, you should.
Karen.
Yeah, she's great.
She came with me to Montreal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instagram.com/profvrr. And she did the cameras on that Montreal episode.
There she is, running the cameras.
Let's get one where...
Where's she wearing the hat?
I gave her a hat. It's a MicroTV...
I know, cast member hat.
Cast member hat. Don't you think that's cool?
I do, but where is it? You got to show that one.
That's the wrong one. Screen share. Here we go. So that's... it's a little bit small. Let's make it bigger. All right, can't make it any bigger. Anyway, there she is with the audience there. And then here's one where you can see...
There she is with her hat.
The MicroTV cast member hat.
Yeah, it's cool.
There are the 2 cameras, so you get a 2-camera shot, folks.
It's cool. It's great.
And David edits them together. I try just to make it a little more interesting, right?
She's coming to ASV.
Coming to ASV. Okay, that's Karen, who was the bartender at Twive 1000. So if any of you were there, maybe you know who she is.
She's great.
A&V, I have outdoor catnip that outdoor cats like to attack sometimes. Any guesses how likely they would be to spread FIV or other viruses to my indoor cats via the catnip? Would the sun deactivate them?
I don't know.
Wait, do you need to get something from the floor?
No,
Did you drop something?
I'm good. I don't think the sun deactivates FIV.
No?
I don't think so.
It's spread by biting and body fluids and doesn't spread in the environment.
No, but they might lick the pee.
So is it going to spread on catnip?
No.
Why not? Why not?
Because it goes through fluids.
Maybe they get some fluid on the catnip. Why not, right?
Maybe.
That would work.
Sure.
Okay. It's possible, yeah. You should be careful.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be careful about that.
Mm-hmm.
There were comparisons made between Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. They have similar societies.
Okay.
I just think you have to be careful and get the right numbers.
Yep, you do.
Yesterday, Time magazine had an online article about COVID and people recovering, suddenly developing high cholesterol and diabetes. If true, what mechanism could cause sudden hyperlipidemia from COVID? Time magazine, right?
Yeah, I didn't know it was a new scientific journal. Maybe I should publish my next paper in Time magazine.
No, I don't think it's gonna work. Hypercholesterolemia after COVID-19. Could getting COVID raise cholesterol? Yeah, what would be the mechanism by which infection would raise cholesterol? Would that be an inflammatory effect,
Yes.
do you think?
Probably.
Yeah, 2 cases with post-COVID cholangiopathy and LPX overaccumulation, lipoprotein X. I don't think we know the mechanism, Bobby, but it could.
But 2 people out of the millions of people that got it is not a very high percentage.
No, it's not.
I'm not sure
We
you
think
can
it's
say.
related to,
I'm not sure you can say anything about relatedness. It's anecdotal at best.
We're looking. We're thinking of inflammation mediated. Okay.
Yeah.
And Barb Mack wants to know when the next TWIVO is. Do we have it on the schedule?
Of course you have it on the
There
schedule.
it is, June 21st, 3 p.m. Okay. Barb Mack, June 21st, 3 p.m. is the next TWIVO. Is it on the schedule?
Do you only
I don't think so. I don't think it is because we run it, we schedule it every time we finish one. June 21st, 3 p.m. is the next TWIVO, Barb Mack, okay? Well, thank you. I know that, I'm sorry that you were worried, and I appreciate your concern. It was my fault. I should have taken it off the schedule, and I didn't. I just forgot about it. I'm sorry. I will try to be
more conscientious.
More conscientious about it, yeah. Per capita, Sweden, I guess that's COVID,
Yeah.
was worse than the rest of Scandinavia. So here's Michael. Per million deaths, Sweden 2,300, USA 3,300. The US did worse. But you can't really compare them, right? Totally different societies.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah. All right, I should go to Australia, apparently. Liam said, please come. Mark will go to Australia. And Barb Mack says, there's no point going for less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. You said you went for 5 days.
I have, but I could go for 2 weeks. I'm
I
not
thought you
sure
were
I want
going
to go
for
for
3.
That's a long time.
I don't know. Can buy new underwear.
Yeah, this is true. The defenders of Sweden would likely say we'd also need to calculate excess deaths of despair in order to be totally accurate. That's right. Yep. I'd fly from Singapore to Sydney to hear you talk. Well, that's really kind of you, Sage7 Sage. I will put all the details on the website and talk about them here when we know about it. Yeah.
That's great.
Isn't Canberra? He's in Sydney, and I will go. I already told him I would go visit him in Sydney, and Kanta Subarao is in Melbourne, so I should go visit her, right?
For sure.
Amy, Patricia's glad to see you again.
Thank you. That's lovely.
It's a major part of his book that is wrong. There are other parts also. He says that influenza virus genome integrates into the host cell genome.
Right?
Yeah, there you go. Hong Kong, I've also been invited to Hong Kong.
Yep. That's in November.
That's in November. A lot of traveling, if I agree. Yep.
Why wouldn't you?
I don't know. Here's a follow-up. Why do you never return to a negative with some viruses? How do they stick where they hide? I'm so fascinated and horrified.
They hide.
Well, don't be horrified. Fascinated is a good word. Horrified, you don't have to be, because you have a dozen herpes viruses in you, and they're all hiding in different places. For example, ow, on my toe, ow.
Sorry.
For example, herpes simplex virus hides out in your trigeminal ganglia. Right? You get an infection, say in your mouth, lip, and it goes to the trigeminal ganglia, and the genome stays there and periodically reactivates and makes virus, and then you get a cold sore. And that virus is always in your trigeminal ganglia. And Epstein-Barr virus hangs out in B cells.
Mm-hmm.
Cytomegalovirus hangs out in other macrophages and other immune cells. So HIV, of course, hangs out in CD4 lymphocytes, memory cells, So many places.
CD35, 34 is HSCs.
The hematopoietic stem cells.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that don't be horrified because it's in all of us. Yeah. How does viral quasi-species diversity contribute to antiviral drug resistance? This sounds like a question from a student in my class, right? It's very good. It's a very good
Sounds
question.
like Raul.
So the quasi-species means that any virus, say this glass of water is virus, right? In this 30 mLs, all the possible genome sequences are present. So there are tons and tons of base changes at every position in the genome. And so some of those changes will encode drug resistance. And so
They'll have a fitness advantage.
Yeah,
it's
so if you're
simple.
treating the population with an antiviral, the few viruses that have mutations that make them resistant will grow out. They'll have a fitness advantage, as Amy says, and they will grow out. And that's how that diversity contributes. If you had all the same sequence,
for the bacteria.
If you had all the same sequence, which you don't, it would be harder to get resistance.
Well, you wouldn't. It would all die.
Yeah, you could, back to bus driving, you could watch my lecture on persistent infections, and you get nice information on where these viruses hide out. Should I put the YouTube channel thingy here?
Sure.
youtube.com/profvrr. Of course, if you're on this stream, you know where the channel is anyway, right?
Really?
Amy?
You think you're watching the channel?
I think you are.
Oh, this isn't Netflix?
No. Laurie's reading The Tangled Tree. It's very good. I like The Tangled Tree a lot. It's really, really, really well done. I watched that video the other day with Sabine H. She's a physicist. There you go. And doesn't really... that's why she's
another
scared.
bandwagoner.
Bandwagoner, yeah.
Not so good.
So Jen is studying macules, papules, and lesions, different kinds of lesions.
Different kinds of infections.
Viruses can cause macular lesions or
but I'm
papular
sure
lesions.
She's studying bacterial stuff.
You think?
I think so.
Do we want to answer more questions on Norway and Sweden?
No, let's move on.
What would make them so different that you shouldn't compare them? I could think of a number of things. How the data, death is pretty straightforward, right? But severe
really?
disease.
Well, no, death isn't really straightforward because you don't always. If you have a heart attack and you were SARS-CoV-2 infected, right? Some countries may say the heart attack was associated with your SARS-CoV-2 infection. Other countries may say it had no effect whatsoever and just call you a heart attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not all the same.
All right. So even death recording is going to be different.
Exactly. I think we have to be very careful. I don't see the purpose of this.
See, if different approaches to the pandemic had different outcomes.
But you never have a control.
Yeah, it's an observation, right?
Right, and you can make it sound whatever way you want because you never actually know all of the factors that contribute because you never think of everything. It's like cheaters. You never think of every way that they're going to cheat.
By the way, we were just at 301
Cool.
participants, but we only have 186 likes.
What's wrong with the other 110 people?
Could everyone just hit the like button right now?
Yeah.
Get us more likes, which brings more people to our channel here. Would allergies be considered a byproduct of a weakened immune system?
I don't think it's weakened, it's hyperactivated.
Hyperactivated, over-exuberant immune system, for sure. Not properly regulated, yeah, but certainly not weakened. What do you think about the recover? The 12 main characteristics of defining long COVID. Well, see, this is a problem. You have 12. There used to be Some people do over 20 characteristics of long COVID.
And how many do you need to have to be diagnosed? A majority?
Depends,
A 50% plus one?
There's no standard, right?
6? 2? 1?
I think the recover is a step in the right direction.
I don't know. I still am confused.
But Maria von Kerkhove said, the long COVID is about 6%, and she said most of those resolve within the first year.
Great.
But, even 1% is of many, many millions of people is a lot of cases, so that's the problem.
1% of many, many millions of people, there's a lot of cases of polio paralytic disease too. So what's I don't understand.
I think narrowing it to 12 is good. The Recover COVID initiative.
Well, you have to
of
decide
NIH.
how many of these 12 characteristics you're going to, in order to qualify for long COVID, are you going to have to fulfill?
Yeah, the NIH is enrolling people into this Recover program.
That's fine. I'm not arguing not to do that. What I'm arguing is how many of these 12 boxes do I need to check? All 12? 6? 2? How many?
I don't know. How many of the 12? Let's see. Oh,
It's broken.
It's not broken. How? You should ask Akiko. 12 symptoms may define long COVID.
May define, but it doesn't say at any point how many of those you need to have.
So according to the CDC, long COVID is defined as having a range of ongoing health problems, right? I don't know how many you need to have.
Well, that's a problem.
And there's no test to determine.
Right, but keep going down. It says symptoms.
Range of symptoms that can last weeks, months, or even years. Sometimes they go away, sometimes they come back. They affect people differently. I just want to know, the answer to your question. How many do you have to have long COVID?
Yeah, how do you diagnose long COVID?
Well, there's no test, right?
Right. So how many criteria are required to diagnose long COVID?
There's no, I don't think there's a number of symptoms that you have to have.
Already this is not going to go well.
All right, Hans says, it's clear that antibodies eventually wane from circulation. Why is it that you can measure any time antibodies against, say, chickenpox and know if an adult had chickenpox? That's because there are memory B cells in your circulation and in some tissues that are always producing a small amount of antibody. So if you have a low amount of antibody against a virus in your blood, it means you have memory B cells, which is good. So, like what is considered protective against polio? 1 to 8?
1 to 8. It's not clear how that occurred.
And so that means you have B cells. If you had 0, well, your test could have a poor sensitivity. That could be one reason, right? But if you believe that there's 0, that could mean you have no memory B cells. And you need memory B cells to protect you for many years because they respond when you get reinfected. So that's why you can measure the antibodies. The levels go way down, and what you're seeing is are the antibodies produced by your memory cells. And so that tells you that you had chickenpox at some point, right?
Yeah.
Any good studies of COVID spread comparing schools that went all remote versus those carrying on as usual? Carrying on.
A long time ago, there were some studies, but not recently.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's quite clear from the results of those that kids who stayed home had lower incidence of COVID than kids who went to school. And when they stopped masking at schools, the COVID incidence went up as well. It's pretty straightforward, right? Would you say?
Mm-hmm. It's like when you give a kid a tissue, you get a reduction of EV71 infections in daycare centers. When you take the tissue away, you got a lot of EV71.
But bacteria sometimes throw out plasmids when you don't select for the resistance. Absolutely. Absolutely. But it doesn't have to. Especially if there are other things on the plasmid, right? Which may be
Most of the
important.
time there are.
But in the laboratory, when you have a plasmid with one antibiotic resistance, yeah, if you don't apply selection, you'll lose it because it's not needed for anything
but the
else,
bacteria, right? But the bacteria are also not wild type E. coli. They're genetically modified.
Yeah. All right, let's look it up. The next question is...
You just lose bleach for a norovirus.
Yeah, so the next question is, other than bleach, what is a good disinfectant?
Nothing.
That's it. Just, well, you could wash your hands with soap and water, right?
But you always should wash your hands with soap and water.
For at least 20 seconds, and wash your laundry in hot water.
With bleach.
Yeah, if you have colored clothes, you don't want to put
You can
bleach.
buy colored detergent. You can buy detergent with bleach for colored clothes. Yes, you can. It's called Tide.
Is that enough to inactivate norovirus? Notice how I said inactivate?
Yes, I did. That's true.
That's because I'm a specialist.
I understood that. I understand that you understand the nuances of viruses. I'm not. I got it.
Why is my watch beeping? Do you
I don't know. It's broken.
Is there such a thing as a thought pencil?
I don't know.
I don't know what a thought pencil is. I've never heard of it. Do you want me to look it up? Oh, yeah.
You're doing a lot of looking up tonight.
Yeah, thought pencil. It's a company name.
Yeah, I'm not interested. Move on.
I don't know what a thought pencil is. Is antibiotic chicken better to eat?
No.
No, you shouldn't need to have, but I don't know if you could find chicken without antibiotics.
For sure.
Right? Definitely. It's a selling point. Yeah. No antibiotics. I was in a gay club on my 50th birthday recently. They played She's Lost Control by Joy Division. I thought of you.
Cool.
Do you like Joy Division?
I like Joy Division.
Okay.
I did not think he was gay either. Spartacus, I did not think was gay. And I have no problem going to a gay club. It's cool. Enjoy the music.
Amy. Here's another Amy. Great to see and hear you again, Amy. Vincent, great discussion with you and Dr. Wilson on his channel. It is a very nice chat about poliovirus. We should have had her with you. Should do another one with you. What do you think about that?
I have to get permission, but we could do it. I have to get permission.
Here is a question for Dr. Griffin. 72 million have long COVID, 4 months, low SpO2, 90-95 often, low blood pressure, fog, fatigue, etc. I don't know. Could you send this to Daniel at microbe.tv? I would appreciate that. A friend of mine said she had Candida. What is that?
It's yeast. Candida albicans is the yeast that Aaron and Vincent Bruno work on. It's thrush.
There you go. He said thrush. It's called thrush, and when you have it
It's
orally,
called white.
your inside of your mouth will turn white. It's called thrush. Yeah. It's typically when you're immunosuppressed, right?
Yes.
So Candida was one of the first signs of AIDS patients, that they had this immunosuppressive infection that was causing them to have Candida, which most people can handle. Yeah. Thinking up molecules is a different kind of AI. Yeah, that's true. Is that what's the name of that program that tries to solve protein structures?
AlphaFold.
AlphaFold. Is that what we're thinking about? Yeah. If you look at people's hands and ears, the AI usually screws those things up. I haven't looked at too many of them.
Nope.
Artificially intelligent assistants are based on made-up stuff from the internet and books. Okay. Some of it is, yeah. ChatGPT's references have led to the new word hallucitations.
Interesting.
That's good. Any word on the new Evusheld replacement from AstraZeneca? Where is that? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Daniel talked about it a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, good.
It is First participant dosed in phase, no, that's last year.
Update.
Well, Evusheld is no longer authorized, but where's the substitute? Is this it? Yeah, in December it did the phase 3 trial. Maybe it's still in trial. I don't know. Daniel said he didn't have any news on it.
Nope.
People are talking about ChatGPT and AI. Salad Snack has listened to 800 Twive episodes in the last 2 years.
Cool.
Wow.
It's a lot of Twive.
It's a lot of Twive. You must like it. And Lisa said she's all caught up. Febrile podcast is good. Have you listened to Febrile with Sarah Dong?
No, not really.
A fungus can make you sick too. Absolutely. And then there's some that don't make you sick, right?
Mm-hmm. Just as a fungus.
Peters says the Reba test is considered more specific but less sensitive than the initial screening tests, according to know-it-all ChatGPT. I'm not sure now that we have had all this discussion about
Oh, I would trust ChatGPT.
ChatGPT to trust it. I know, I probably would look it up,
Probably.
right?
I would probably reassess.
So Doreen saw a mainstream media piece on human metapneumovirus. Any need for concern, or was this a slow news day thing? Yeah. I mean, human metapneumos have been around forever, right?
Yep.
Let's get some information. Human metapneumovirus. What a thing the internets are, aren't they?
The internets?
It is causing a spike in infections, right? Upper and lower respiratory tract disease in people of all ages. It's as common as in hospitalized seniors as RSV and the flu. So I would say nothing to really worry about above COVID and flu and RSV, right? What do you think about that?
Probably correct.
So John says a UK lab did RSV and influenza challenge trials.
Interesting.
Let's see, what was that? The RSV challenge trial. Yeah, look at that, clinicaltrials.gov. And there's a challenge study of a vaccine last year, New England Journal. See?
Mm-hmm.
Phase 2A. They got a placebo or vaccine, and then they were challenged. The pre-F vaccine was effective against symptomatic infection and shedding. And what were the numbers? Vaccine efficacy was 86.7% in this challenge trial.
Good.
Penelope's going to be in China for 1 year. I have 4 COVID vaccines. Do you recommend any other vaccines before I leave in July? Well, you could ask Daniel, because that's a travel doctor question, and that's what he does, travel medicine.
Or you could look it up on the website.
Or you could ask your doctor, or you could look it up. Let's look it up right now. It's always a good topic of conversation. Vaccines needed for China. What do you think about that? Here is the CDC recommendation.
You should get Hep A.
Wow. Chickenpox, diphtheria, tetanus pertussis, DPT, flu, MMR, polio, and shingles.
Yeah, but Hep A is also recommended.
Those are routine vaccines. And then, Hep A, Hep
Hep
B,
B.
Japanese encephalitis.
Mm-hmm.
Might want to. Rabid dogs are common in China.
Yellow fever.
Tick-borne encephalitis, yellow fever.
Typhoid.
Yeah, typhoid. So, Penelope, I'd go over to CDC and look at that, and then go, if you have a GP, go to them and say, hey, which of these should I get for China? Or email Daniel at microbe.tv. What does this mean?
I don't know. What's the question?
Oh, the chat messages were stacked, yeah. Sorry about that. Thank you, John, for your contribution to science communication at microbe.tv. We really appreciate your support.
It's lovely. Thank you.
We're up to 242 likes out of 296. Not bad.
Well, what's wrong with the other 50 people?
I don't know. Maybe they're AFK.
AFK?
Yeah, away from keyboard. Remember the Common Cold Research Institute in England. Margaret Thatcher killed the funding in the 80s. That's where the famous rhinovirus researcher worked.
Sebastian Johnson?
No, that was he was after that, but I think Robert Dick was his name.
Yeah, because he did a lot of seminal work in the 60s. I still read a lot of his papers. Anne and I talk about him all the time.
Saw your lectures on virology. That was great. Respect to you. Thank you. I'm glad you like them. John, thank you. I'm glad you like Beyond the Noise.
Everybody should like Beyond the Noise. Everybody should be listening to Beyond the Noise. I have a mosquito bite on my elbow. It's not so comfortable.
Mosquito?
Yes,
what are you talking about?
I have a mosquito bite on my elbow. It's not so comfortable. Now I'm going to scratch it until it bleeds.
Having had COVID-19 increases the risk or is associated with greater risk of other conditions. Has anyone looked to see if this is true of other viral infections? Yes, there are along almost everything, right? I had a physician in Manhattan visit the incubator, and she said she sees long flu, she sees long RSV, and I suspect that these have been studied.
I suspect that they haven't been studied, actually, because there's not a high population. I suspect that they haven't been studied.
I bet you could find in the literature some references on them. That's all.
Yeah.
Narcolepsy. Can I comment on narcolepsy? I don't know anything about treating narcolepsy. I'm not a physician, so I can't really tell.
Isn't that Richard?
Yeah, look at Richard's back.
Richard's back, and we're using his lights. It's great.
Recovering from a motor vehicle accident. Glad
That's
to see you. I'm
horrible.
sorry. We're using your lights here, the flat LED panels.
And we
Very nice
used his
picture.
barnyard door lights for Christia Day.
Yeah, last week we brought them
So
to
great.
the.
But I'm sorry he had a car accident
Sorry to hear that. Yeah.
or a motor vehicle accident. Not good.
Do you want to answer this one?
What is it?
Why do you not eat chicken?
I eat chicken. It's just not my favorite.
You're not a vegetarian, right?
No. I
Okay.
eat chicken. Just not my favorite sometimes.
Thank you, Rob, for your contribution to science communication. Rob loves his microbe TV.
He does. He's always asking for his fungi show. He wants a mushroom show.
You know,
He wants a mushroom show.
Rob is here all the time. I really appreciate that.
I love Rob. Rob is great.
Yeah.
You know who I miss is the two farms from San Francisco.
Well, usually they're
Laura
here.
and
Laura
Kip.
and Kip. Usually they're here. They just are not here tonight.
I haven't seen them in a while.
Hmm.
With Emma. Maybe they're moving Emma back to San Francisco.
Have seen a few papers claiming repeated SARS-CoV-2 mRNA vaccine induces IgG4 production and causing immune tolerance and or suppression. So certainly IgG4 is induced by mRNA vaccination, yes, but whether it's a problem isn't known at all. And I should point out that in many millions of people who have received these, there are no issues relating to IgG4, right? So
Right.
I don't think to say that it's causing immune tolerance and or suppression isn't correct. No.
Look, you got 308 viewers.
You got 308 viewers. Whenever you're here, the
I know,
numbers
you
are
always
ours.
do well. Yes, I know. Because I'm fun.
You're kind of shrinking in the background. Can you sit up?
I'm not shrinking in the background. Stop picking on me.
Would you consider that picking?
Yes. Stop picking on
Well,
me.
you're so small compared to me.
I'm a small person. Just big attitude.
That's good. That's a TikTok moment.
I mean, seriously. Sometimes I wonder, how long have I known you? Why haven't you clued into this? Jeez.
Irene has a question about metformin, which I can't answer, not a physician. I don't know if it helps with hypoglycemia. Do you know?
It's given to control diabetes, so
Yeah.
yes. It reduces it even more.
So it reduces sugars, blood sugar, yeah. It says metformin rarely produces hypoglycemia. Is that what she had said? Hypo.
Yeah.
Because it does not change how much insulin is secreted and does not cause high insulin. But metformin toxicity or overdoses that cause lactic acidosis are associated with hypoglycemia.
It's a mTOR inhibitor. It inhibits AMPK arm of the mTOR pathway.
This is funny.
What does it say? I can't see. If
Sitting
you don't
around the
click.
house eating ice cream and not going to the gym, isolating from the virus will increase cholesterol and blood sugar.
That is true.
MN says your voice is softer. You have to hear.
I don't need to have no microphone. Stop picking on me.
She said that your voice is softer. See? Are you okay? Yes, Amy is fine, right?
Yeah, I'm fine. Why would I not be fine?
For the Time article, I will use Amy's famous quote. I know a guy who got the vaccine and the next day was run over by a car.
That is true.
Isn't 40% of the human genome a history of viral genomes?
Well, what did the guy at Course today, Andre, who talked about the lines and science elements?
Yeah.
Isn't that what he said? Something
Yes.
like that?
So a good portion of human genome are viral elements, but I don't think you would say it's a history of all your viral infections, because not all of them are integrated.
Well, I don't think he said all viral infections. He just said it's a history of viral genomes.
But John wants to know if it's a history of your viral infections, right?
No, viral genomes. It has nothing to do with your infections.
All right, it's
It's
some
a
kind of
history
history.
of viral. It's a history of retroviruses. It could be a history of retroviruses,
Yeah.
but it doesn't say that you've been infected with. It has nothing to do with infection. It just says is a history of retroviral. Can you do
That's
it?
fine.
Use it for evolution of retroviruses? Probably.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go with that. Will you ever do a talk in London?
Yeah, when you get invited.
Yeah, I'll let you know. For sure. With herpes, you're never alone. I like that. And Barb says, unlike love, herpes is forever. That's the way it should be.
That's what Saul always
That's
said.
what Saul Silverstein always used to say. Mm-hmm. I say this in every chat, but it bears repeating. I love what you guys do. Thank you so much.
It's lovely.
Really appreciate it. Viable SARS-CoV-2 Omicron subvariants isolated from autopsy tissues.
I don't know what viable means.
Infectious. But that's not surprising, especially if the tissues are lung or
It's
upper
not
respiratory
surprising,
tissues. Right?
or even if they're fresh.
Yeah. What do you think about replicon vaccines?
They're good.
Self-replicating RNAs, you like those? I think there have been some good studies on them.
Yeah, they're good.
But was it you that said last night that people trying to make new COVID vaccines are going to have a problem because, you know, it's controlled and there are other vaccines already out there, right? It's hard to compete with them.
I like this guy. He says he misses Saul from the early days of Twive. Is Saul still around? Yes.
I miss Saul. He's retired.
He's out in Wyoming, most likely.
Well, he spent 6 months in Wyoming and 6 months in New York State.
Yeah, sending carrot cake around the world. We should say thank you to Noir.
Noir, thank you for your contribution. Dr. Rosenfeld, brilliant mind.
She loves my brilliant mind. It's good.
Did you meet her at the
I
Twive
did.
1000?
She's lovely. I met her with Helena Dunn. Helena's not here tonight.
No. Having one symptom of long COVID can be debilitating. I don't doubt that. We're just trying to figure out, is one enough to define you as having long COVID, or do you need more than one? I don't think we have an answer to that. Is influenza still the most likely next pandemic?
No.
I think so. Amy disagrees with me, right? What's the next pandemic according to you?
Not influenza.
Well, what? You have to come up with something else.
Could be another corona. They seem to occur every 10 years.
Well, only one of them was a pandemic.
Well, SARS-CoV-1 was not so good. MERS is still circulating, causes problems.
Okay. It's like how you define chronic fatigue syndrome. You eliminate other conditions, that's right. And then you have a certain set of symptoms. Brain fog, persistent fatigue that isn't restored or fixed by sleeping, and many others as well. Yeah, but it is not explainable by other things. You're absolutely right about that. How is it that herpes lives in everyone?
It's latent and goes to
But we're all
sleep.
infected at a young age from our parents, and parent to child. That's what happens.
It's a torch.
Pass the torch.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't there 6 herpes and everyone passed down from our parents? Well, I don't know if passed down. You're infected from your parents, which would be, well, if it's from your father, it's horizontal transmission. From your mother, it would be vertical, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't think I don't think that there are any. I don't think that sperm is known to be a herpes.
No. But
So how would
herpes
you get
simplex,
it
no,
from your
it's not
dad?
vertical, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got it at birth, but that's not what's happening.
Right.
Although herpes too, if your mother had genital herpes, you
Yeah.
could get it. That would be vertical transmission. We have herpes simplex 1 and 2. We have Epstein-Barr cytomegalovirus. We have varicella zoster, that's 5. And then herpes virus 5 and 6,
Yeah.
7. The herpes 6 can integrate into the telomeres and be passed through the germline, but that's only in a low percentage of people. It's not in everyone. Hello, Siddhartha. Good to see you. He was at Twive 1000. He
That's
offered his
great.
programming skills, remember?
Yeah, I do. We're waiting for you to take them up.
Well, this is interesting. Have you considered putting your 1,000+ Twive show transcripts into a large language model? I have not. What would be the advantage of doing that?
Could
And-
be translated to every language to somebody who speaks Swahili.
And
could
how would I do
understand.
it?
Well, hopefully a program would automatically do it for you. You just connect to the program and import your thing.
All right, David, if you could explain, I would appreciate it, because I would consider doing it.
I like this. Someone asks,
Who is
whose
Amy
name is
Foyle?
Foyle when Vincent's not around.
Do you want to do one of these on your own?
No.
Okay. I think that's a good answer. Raphael, I did a couple of reports from Brazil to John Campbell. It was fine, but I lost track of what he was doing today. Oh, we're complaining about John Campbell, which I'm not highlighting because it's not necessary. Suggestion for a TWIM guest. It's Teresa McPhail, medical anthropologist at Stevens Institute. Oh, how cool. Stevens Institute. Can I write this down?
Yeah.
Teresa. Your pen doesn't work.
Yeah, it does.
McPhail.
MACHPHAIL.
SIT. Okay. You say jump, I say how high. So MN likes the mint shirt and the lilac cashmere. It's actually a good combo, right? Yeah, it's pretty good.
It is. And then you had the audacity to say to me earlier, "That's what you're wearing."
Do you have to tell everybody that?
Yes. So it makes me funny. That's what you're wearing?
Did you know Margaret Thatcher was a trained chemist?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Richard, we should say
Richard.
thank you.
Thank you for your support, Richard. Haven't seen you in a while, and we've been missing you, so it's good to see you. I'm
Yes,
sorry
yeah.
about your motor vehicle accident,
Hope you're recovering well.
and I still hope to see you in LA one day when we
Yes.
get there.
Yes. I think it's great.
Will COVID ever become less deadly than seasonal flu?
Yes.
Yeah, it will, but I don't know when. I can't predict that. But yes, I think at some point it will, for sure. Thank you, Pamela, for your contribution. It's New Zealand dollars, right?
Yes.
New Zealand, cool. Anti-vaxxers make a big deal about excess deaths, ignoring that COVID is associated with higher morbidity, mortality long after 30 days. I never see pushback. It's hard to do pushback. It takes a lot of time and no one listens. Were there any more information about the virus in some hearts getting electrical problems because of infection? Was that the Roberto Cattaneo thing? There was very little, a small study early on, but nothing subsequently, right?
Not that I'm aware of. And he's moved on.
Cattaneo, yeah.
Yeah, he has some cool stuff about SSP. Right?
Well, here, John says Amy is right. I don't know what he's referring to, or maybe he's just making a general statement. Right? Do either of you think there's anything new under the sun?
There's always new things underneath the sun.
Of course. I mean, something new doesn't have to be a huge magnitude, right?
There's always new things underneath the sun.
Yeah. Every time I go to a science meeting, I hear new things.
Every time I go to my lab, I see new things.
Really?
Always. Seriously? Yes.
Alina from Coxsackie, New York. This is pretty fun. He loved aquatic viruses, especially Frank. Super engaging teacher. Can we get him back sometime? Sure. Also, I've been cutting my own hair since lockdown. Just messed up while listening. Send help. I'm sorry. Want to go to Coxsackie, New York and help her out?
Okay.
Twitter now supports long videos.
Okay. I'm really
Please consider spreading the knowledge and showing your videos there as well as here on YouTube. So I could post a 2-hour video on Twitter?
Sure.
Do people think this would be a good thing?
Test it out.
The more the merrier?
Test it out. You only have to point one. And if it gets no views, then no. Maybe you should post your outfit videos.
Yeah, short ones. That'd be good. I know you did send an email, and I've just been traveling too much, but there are things we'd like to have your help with. I'll get to you. Wait, do you mean we literally all have herpes virus? Yes, you all have herpes virus for sure. And most of the time you're okay.
Yeah.
That you should listen to my lecture on persistent virus infections. Go to YouTube, my channel. There it is up there, youtube.com/prof_VRR. Look, 315.
I know. I always get a lot of people. They like me.
It's the Amy effect.
Yes, they like me.
What was I going to say?
Go to Professor PRR, look at the persistent infection lecture, and learn about herpes.
Yes, this will explain to you how they reside in you, where they're residing, and why they get to do that. Yeah. Oh, Angela Merkel was a chemist as well.
Yeah, she was very smart.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of smart women.
Discord question. Does anyone know if there's an easy way to scroll down to the first available episodes? It doesn't start at 1 that I could see. In fact, most are seemingly missing under 100. Well, it depends where you look. If you go to the website, you will find episode 1. So let's do that, okay?
All right, we're holding on for this.
All right.
Well, you got to do your screen share.
I'm going to do it as soon as I get to twive. Okay? Now, let's turn this off so we can see and turn on the screen share. Where is it? Here we go. Oh, there's nothing there. Why is
Because you just turned it off.
No. Here it is. Safari. Oh, I hit it. That's right. Screen share. Okay, so aquatic virus, twive 1011. That's not what you want. So let's go down here And you see at the bottom there is
104 pages.
Let's just click 104. And then what you see up here, it says page 104.
And there's rabies. Now scroll down. Because you called it a netcast. There's rabies.
2 and 1. There you go. So that was the easiest way to do it. You just go to the bottom. So I'll go back now. We'll go back to the first page. And you see at the bottom of the page, it says 104 pages total. And you go down and there's number 1. And you can play West Nile virus. Oh my God.
Let's see what number 2 sounds like. Because that's the polio.
It's so weird to hear that first episode. Oh my gosh. Go over and listen to it. My voice is so strange. You couldn't hear it because it was in my earphones. Oh dear. So that's how you do it. But
you look strange. Your voice is strange.
If
That's what
looking,
happens after 20 years.
If you're looking at, say, a podcast player, it may be different. Because the 1,011 episodes is too long for most feeds, and they choke, so we had to cut it off. But on the web page, it's always there to number 1. Okay, post my videos on Twitter and post them on Facebook and Twitch. Okay, we can do everything. I think it's good to do as much as possible to spread the word, don't you think?
I do.
Yeah.
Now you got an assistant.
The Rosenfeld effect sounds more scientific. Instead of saying Amy is right, we could say the Rosenfeld effect. That's good. Any reactions?
I am the Rosenfeld effect. It's like radioactivity. It's always positive.
Considering the concept of zoonotic spillover, how can we develop preemptive strategies to combat potential pandemics? I think it's very difficult.
It is.
But I would like WHO to say live animal markets are a risk factor and should be closed. They're not willing to say that. I asked Maria von Kerkhove that. She would not say it.
That's because it's impinging upon somebody's culture.
Yeah, I understand.
Well,
but they released a virus that is impinged on the world, right?
No.
I mean, not intentionally, but in the meat
so
markets,
So then,
right?
therefore, you cannot. Accidents happen all the time. Do you want them to say? I would like that they should say, we suggest that Japan turn off all its nuclear power plants because they had a huge meltdown that caused an enormous amount of radiation in the Pacific Ocean all the way to Hawaii. And we don't understand all of that. Would you like them to say we suggest that Russia get rid of all of its nuclear power plants because of their Chernobyl meltdown, and now we have these genetically altered dogs that you and Nels did on Twive?
I get your point. So you want to leave the markets open?
No, but I think that we have to somehow come to grasp and somehow have a compromise about what public health policy is versus impinging on somebody's cultural norms.
Okay. Well, that's one of the ways that we have to...
That's a conversation that we should have with the Chinese
Exactly.
population. But we're very antagonistic and judgmental when we do those things, and you can't be that way.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Agreed. But I also think that...
I think you should have told the truth, though, that they were open and that you did have live animals. You shouldn't have lied.
I think that having diagnostic capability in various countries that can screen populations and look for emerging new viruses would be useful also. Like
Isn't
what
that
is it
like
called?
what GAP is?
GAP. GAPP?
No, it's just GAP.
No, I think it's GAPP.
Huh.
Anyway, it's Ian Lipkin's proposal.
He has a whole paper on it.
Yeah.
He and Thomas.
And yes, the earliest TWIVs were audio only. We did a random video here and there when we went to a live show at ASV or ASM, but it wasn't until 2020 that we then converted all episodes to video because we did it on Zoom. Yeah. Ivara, thank you for your contribution to science communication. Really appreciate it. Look at this. This is good, Amy. I feel a bit sad that things like Amy saying back in 2020 that T cells would be important gets 200, 300 views, and stupid things like more transmissible variants gets millions.
That's true. I am completely underappreciated.
I am affected by the Rosenfeld effect. See,
That's
the A,
cute.
the A and the E.
I got it. It's good. I like it.
And
I don't want to do Amy and Shane karate.
Where's that?
Right there. Your pointer's right on it.
Oh. Raccoon dogs are way too cute to eat. I agree. The best way to avoid zoonotic spillover is to keep out of wild animal habitats. Not going to happen, though.
Yeah, our human population is overexpanding.
Yeah, another way to keep out of building stuff in the forest. That's right. We keep impinging on pristine environments.
Yeah, we do.
Displacing animals, etc. Now, principal manager says it's not exactly culture that there are wet markets, though there is that aspect. China has a protein supply problem, especially when they culled a huge amount of pigs. I disagree, Amy. But the meat markets, the wet animal markets, are not supplying most of the protein. They're very expensive,
right,
compared to pork and chicken. And I understand there was a big pork problem, but that's now been fixed. The open meat markets are a luxury item. They're
it's
not
to show wealth, is from what I understand.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to show off.
Will you be attending ASM Micro?
That's where you're interviewing Kara.
I'm not interviewing her. I'm chairing her session talk. Anyway, we're doing a twive and a twim at ASM Microbe in Houston. That's Sunday of the meeting. So if you are
in town, going to the meeting, stop by our pavilion.
Yeah, it's on the exhibit floor.
And say hello to Vincent and Ray.
You bet. You know, it looks like we have exhausted all the questions tonight.
Okay.
Give us a like, folks, unless you have another question, which we'll be happy to answer. But give us a like, thumbs up. We're at 280 out of 313. Good crowd tonight.
Excellent. Saw a lot of old friends, Jen and Richard
And we
Raphael
missed you all.
Yes.
Glad to be back.
Christella. Yeah, it's great.
Now, Zach's going to be there. Excellent.
Cool.
So Eddie Holmes is going to be on twive in ASM Microbe.
Great.
So Patricia thinks that the trade markets bring billions of dollars into Asian economies, from what I understand. I think a lot of people are employed in these open markets, right? So that might be correct, but I don't think they supply the bulk of protein to the population, because as Amy said, they are a luxury item. Thank you, Ian, for your contribution to science communication. Really appreciate it. Now, Questella wants to go to New York.
Cool.
We'll
stop
come.
by the incubator.
Stop by the incubator.
Cool.
You can come and sit in the chair where I broadcast. You can get a nice tour. We'd be happy to show you around. Are wet markets more likely to cause zoonotic spillover than other forms of farms and hunting? Yes, I do think so, because the wet market, you ship animals from all over the country, right? You mix them all together. They're exchanging their viruses. They're in close quarters with people. So I think the sheer numbers increase the chance of a zoonotic spillover, yeah. That's my thought, anyway. Yeah.
All right.
Christella says she would be happy to come. Come sometime.
Great.
Come over.
Perfect.
Door's open for you anytime. All right, folks. Looks like here's one more question. There's an alt medicine person on NYC Radio Daily. He is virulently anti-vaccine and conventional medicines. He's had guests accusing government creating SARS bioweapons for decades, etc. A bit crazy.
They like the guy last night.
Yeah, these people are looking for
Attention.
attention. Some of them get paid for it as well. Did you, and if you did, when did you use a mask in your recent international travel? I did not. I traveled to Switzerland. I traveled to Canada. I traveled here a couple of times on the train. I'm fully vaccinated. I had COVID. I have great immunity. I don't need to protect myself with a mask, no. I've evaluated the risk and I'm willing to accept it. And Dorothy says, it's not just culture for the animal market. Some people really need to eat wild meat. Pa was a fur trapper, and we ate a lot of beaver during trapping season. Well, that's different if you trap your animals as opposed to buying them in a market,
you're using the
right?
whole animal for everything, yeah.
You know, you have all these animals shipped from the countryside all together in one small place. That is a recipe for introducing new viruses. When you go out and capture your beavers, the numbers are much less, right? They're smaller and less likely to encounter viruses. So I have no problem with hunting in terms of safety from zoonotic events, yeah.
All right.
Where to mail Dr. Griffin? Okay, I'm going to put it on the screen here. What is it? Daniel
at microTV.
All right, here's where, can I put it on your eyes?
Yes.
No, this wouldn't be nice. Here's where you mail Daniel. Daniel at microTV.
Great.
He does his show once a week. We're going to do one tomorrow. So if you do that right away, we'll get it for tomorrow's. Okay.
Great. All right.
How do I reduce my jet lag? So when I'm going to Europe, get there in the morning. You stay up all day. You keep active, get a lot of sun, and then go to bed at 9, 10 o'clock so that you start to establish your new timing. It's not foolproof. You're going to be tired, but it's better than nothing. All right, folks, we will wrap it up now. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Will COVID vaccines become obsolete with the emerging variants of concern? No, they won't be. But as we said earlier, WHO is going to recommend a change to the latest variant in the vaccine. So that is a moot question. And the One Health approach advocates for interdisciplinary collaboration to optimize health, acknowledging the interconnectedness of human, animal, and environmental well-being. Totally for sure. And
it's great.
You know, it requires countries to talk to each other.
Yep.
And so we're not. That's part of the problem.
Well, we have antagonized so many people by the elected officials.
Anyway, folks, thanks for moderating Vanity Nutrition, Andrew, Barb UK, Mac, and PDK for a short period of time. We appreciate everyone coming. We had over 300 people tonight. Thanks a lot. Before you go, it would be great to hit the like button if you haven't already. And we will be back next week, right? Let's see. Let's look at the schedule.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'll be back.
June 7th.
June 7th, I'll be back for office hours. Don't know if I have a guest yet or not, but we will see. Thanks, everybody, for coming. And in the meantime, stay safe, folks. See you next week. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Bye, Amy.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Have a good night.
What am I looking for? The plaque logo. Good night, everybody.